developing this self-awareness is such a huge key. Self-awareness of who you are now, self-awareness of your past, and self-awareness of how your past is impacting your present and how your present is impacting your future, right? Hello and welcome to Sync and Flow, the podcast with me, your host, Josie Thorne. I am a Red Tent Women's Circle facilitator, a womb healer, and feminine empowerment coach. I have been guiding women to embody their true essence through womb activations and feminine embodiment practices. I started Sync and Flow to help educate and connect women back to the wisdom of their sacred womb space and cyclical nature. I want to help all women reawaken to the true power of the feminine that lives deep within them, so that they may cultivate a relationship to self that is rooted in pure trust, divine love, and a deeply intuitive connection to the body. Thank you for being here and taking the time to listen to this podcast episode. I hope you enjoy. Hello. It's been a little while since I've shared. But yeah, I'm really excited. For those of you watching on Instagram, this will be recorded as a podcast that will be released either tomorrow or the next day. But yeah, I'm really excited to be back online. I've been taking a little break from creating content. I actually just came back from Vipassana, which is a 10-day silent meditation retreat. Yeah, not an easy thing to go through, but I really feel so much clarity and my channel feels so open right now. And I just, while I was on the retreat, I had all these ideas like bubbling up and coming to the surface, and all these things that I want to create for you guys and share for you guys. So yeah, I even managed to outline 3 courses that I'm going to be releasing this year, all about healing your relationship to your period, healing your relationship to your womb, healing your relationship to your feminine energy, so that you can fully step into the woman that you were always meant to become. So yeah, a lot of exciting things are on their way. I'm really excited to share that with you guys. And beginning of next month, I will start releasing the waiting lists for those so that you guys can sign up and get some juicy discounts. So yeah, today's episode is going to be on how to begin the self-healing journey. So I thought this was quite an important one, as some of you may either already be on this path, you may just be beginning the path, or you may have yet to start, or like me, you may be fully deep in the path, on the path. I'd say I've been doing self-healing work for around the last 5 to 6, 7 years now. Yeah, and it all kind of started with the powerful practice of journaling. At the end of this, I will also go through all of my favorite tools that you can so easily incorporate into your daily routines and into your life to, start your own self-healing process. It really doesn't take much more than just you and the willingness to look below the surface, and just really be curious. We have to get curious with our own mind. Why are you the way that you are? What made you that way? Who made you that way? We really have to get curious with why we do the things that we do, and start asking ourselves questions. Start asking ourselves those whys. How? Where does this come from? Who taught me to be like this? So getting curious is such a huge step. And from that curiosity, we ask, why am I like this? Or how did I become like this? Or how did I become to believe this? And majority of those foundations, those roots will have stemmed from your childhood. So the next aspect of beginning the self-healing journey is really looking at your childhood. And I know for some of you this may be scary, as you may have had a traumatizing childhood. You may not have any memories from your childhood. And just know that the lack of memories is a trauma response in itself. And so just being patient with yourself as you start to uncover the layers. Like Donkey says in Shrek, ogres are like onions. They come in layers. I think that's how it goes. And so, looking at your childhood and getting curious about what happened in your childhood. Why did these certain events happen? And how did these events from your childhood inform who you are today and how you act today? And that question will start to unravel so much within yourself, within the psyche. You really can answer endless journal prompts about your childhood. And in each situation that you start unpacking, because there's the early childhood years between, 0 and 4. Then there's the ages from like 4 to 7. And then we get like 7 to around 12. And then 12 into early teenagehood, like going through puberty. And then, we have the later teenage years into early adulthood from around like 14, 15 to around 18, 19. And so we can kind of break up those aspects of our growth and, start to unpack them as we see fit, as we see necessary. And nothing has to be done in any sort of order, it's just about getting curious with like what was going on for me during these different life stages, and how can I, it's like a puzzle piece. Your life is a puzzle piece, and you are trying to put the different puzzle pieces together so that you can start to make sense of the entire image, which is who you are today, and what your life is like today. Because who you are today and how your life is today is a result of your past actions and your past beliefs and your past reactions and your past experiences. I also spoke a lot about this in episode 2 of the podcast, layers of healing, the multidimensional effects of healing. So definitely go back and listen to that one if you haven't already. But your subconscious informs 95% of your daily actions, your daily decisions, your daily thoughts. All 95% of that comes from your subconscious, and your subconscious is being programmed from the ages of 0 to 7. So these 0 to 7 years are your very, very foundational prime years. Your subconscious and your brain during that time, your psyche during that time is like a sponge. And so anything that you go through or experience, your brain just absorbs and absorbs and absorbs. And, children learn through experiences. They learn through witnessing the people and the adults around them. They don't learn through intellect. They learn through experience. They learn through their senses. They're very tactile. It's all about the senses and what the senses are perceiving. So children really, they follow what you do. They do not follow what you say, because they haven't developed that intellectual part of the brain yet, because they need, in order to survive, to develop that primal that primal part first, and that is all about experiencing the world through the senses and getting used to, you know, being a human and experiencing the world. So yeah, so much of, you know, your life as it is today and who you are today is going to come from who you were as a child and the experiences you went through as a child, whether traumatic or not traumatic. You know, we sometimes think that, oh no, I had a happy childhood, my childhood wasn't traumatic. But, you know, trauma, it's quite a, we don't fully understand what trauma means. Trauma has many different layers, and you know, trauma can be big trauma with a big T, such as someone close to you dying, or trauma can be a small t, little trauma that is not so obvious. And this can be, you know, as subtle as someone telling you no, or someone telling you off, or someone scolding you, or, you know, someone, you know, like you crying and no one's there for you. I guess that's also like a big T trauma. But, you know, trauma isn't always the big, intense things that happen to us. Trauma is also the little things and the little subtle moments. That you know, after a while they make up the bigger moments. So trauma is multi-dimensional, it's multi-layered, and it doesn't have to be something hectic such as someone dying. It can be smaller incidents. Yeah, and so really looking at the what is the big T of, you know, big T trauma of your life, and what are the little T traumas of your life. And anyone, you know, I will call bluff on anyone that says, oh, I didn't have any trauma growing up, or I don't have any trauma, because we all have trauma. We've all grown up in a patriarchal society, which is based on the foundations of domination and violence and colonialism. We all have like a colonial history and a colonial past, and whether we, you know, are white or are ethnic, come from an ethnic race, or ethnic background, or have an indigenous, you know, or a person of color, you know, we all have some sort of colonial trauma, and that is trauma stored, you know, in our DNA. So there's really so many layers of trauma. But most of our trauma will come from our childhood. And once we've kind of unpacked our childhood, we can start to go further back and look at further generations and, you know, look at what are my parents' trauma, what were my grandparents' trauma, what were my great-great-great-grandparents' trauma, what were my great-great-grandparents' trauma, you know. So as you start to peel away the layers within yourself, you can also start to peel away the layers of your lineage. And that is also really, really important part of the self-healing journey, because generational trauma lasts for 7 generations. They did this study on mice, and they figured out that 7 generations of mice were impacted by one significant traumatic event of, you know, the lineage. And that's quite scary to think about. Developing this self-awareness is such a huge key. Self-awareness of who you are now, self-awareness of your past, and self-awareness of how your past is impacting your present and how your present is impacting your future, right? And this, you know, we go into the self-awareness of the mind and of the body and of the soul, of the spirit, because we don't just live in a 3D reality, even though we often, you know, we feel like we do. There's so much more beyond this 3D material plane that impacts who we are, and we need to start having the maturity and, you know, develop that faculty. We have a mental intelligence, we have a physical intelligence, a body-based intelligence, and we also have a spiritual intelligence as well as an emotional intelligence. And so combining these 4 intelligences will help develop our self-awareness, okay? So developing your self-awareness is so, so crucial of your mind and of your body. You know, how is your mind informing your body, and how is your body informing your mind? And starting to merge these two, mind and matter. It's something they speak a lot about in Vipassana, is the connection of mind and matter and how these two inform each other. And really all of that happens through the senses. The senses are the gateways between your mind and your body. The senses are the bridges between your internal and your external world. And so working with sensation, working with, you know, the pleasant and unpleasant sensations of the body, you know, to coherently create that that mind-body connection, which is something that we have all lost because it's not valued and it's not taught in our schools and in our education systems. So yeah, that is so important. We need to not take anything at face value. So know that there is the surface level meaning of something, and then there are many, many, many layers below the surface, and that get deeper and deeper and deeper into the construct of what we are looking at and what we are trying to understand. So don't take anything for face value. You will be doing yourself a disservice and actually weakening your self-awareness if you are just accepting things as they are. You know, like I said, get curious. Don't be afraid to ask why. Don't be afraid to really to look below the surface, to go deeper, to ask the deeper questions, to probe yourself and the people around you. Why is that like that is? You know, why are we just accepting this as the norm? You know, is it normal for women to be disconnected from their bodies? Like, why is that the norm? You know, is it normal for women to experience pain, or is that just what we have normalized? You know, I mean, it's common, but it's not normal. Why do we think that period pain is normal? You know, and I think there's so much to go into, like, why we think that our bodies are inherently broken. Why do we think that we need to rely on external factors or external supports? Like, why do we not believe that our bodies inherently are healthy and inherently want to heal and inherently have that capacity to heal? You know, like, why are we always placing our trust in doctors and therapists and all these external factors? You know, not to say that you shouldn't place your trust in these people, and especially professionals and practitioners, but ask yourself, am I valuing the wisdom of everyone outside of myself, and then second guessing my own wisdom, second guessing my own personal lived experience? Because every single human has their own wisdom based on their own experience, you know, and all of that wisdom has a truth. You know, the truth is multi-layered and multi-dimensional, and every situation has a different truth. That's why there are many different perspectives. Expanding our perspective is such a crucial part of the self-healing journey. You know, being open, becoming more open-minded, becoming more self-aware, becoming more curious, knowing that everything is connected. Okay? Everything is connected. And yeah, it's called the ripple effect, and it's how something can affect another thing without them being obviously connected. And so just start to see, like, okay, if everything is connected, then if I do X, Y, and Z, what will happen? You know, who am I impacting? How am I impacting a human? Am I impacting an inanimate object? Am I impacting the earth, nature? You know, like, every single decision that we make has an impact. and knowing that everything is connected and that you are not separate. You are not separate from life. You are not separate from nature. You're not separate from yourself. Everything that is going on is connected to something, and all of it stems back and has a root in your past. So developing, like I said, that psychosomatic awareness, which is that mind-body connection, so that you can be able to listen more deeply to your body. Look out for signs, sickness, illness, dis-ease. These are all signs and symbols of something not being right. Something is out of alignment within your mind-body field, okay? There is a reason you are having these symptoms, and there is a reason that you are feeling this way. So don't just suppress it. Don't just brush it off and hope for the best. Listen to your body. Tune into that somatic awareness and try and figure out, if it's often when people have these chronic illnesses that they've been to a million doctors and no one can tell them what's wrong with them. Often, actually all the time, like that is a result of trauma. That is a result of unprocessed emotions, stuck childhood trauma in the body that hasn't been released and hasn't been worked with on a multidimensional level. Like I said, go listen to episode 2 of the podcast. I go into great depth of the multidimensional layers of healing. Okay? And knowing that healing is an ongoing process. There is no such thing as being fully healed. Okay? It's just, there's no such thing. There's no, I'm 100% healed and I'm 100% not triggered and I'm now perfect. Like that doesn't exist, The path is a long path. It is a slow path. And I'm not saying this to deter you from the path, but I'm saying this so that you can have more compassion for yourself while you're on the path, okay? And as you grow and as you come into more self-awareness and you develop your spiritual maturity and you gain more wisdom about yourself and who you are, you also learn more tools, and these are the tools that help us to process and help us to work with what we struggle with, okay? The triggers don't go away. They just stop impacting you at the depth at which they used to, And so, yeah, that is how you measure your growth. When something stops impacting you as much as it used to, and you start to feel more freedom, more self-awareness, more clarity in moments of trigger, that is proof that your healing is working. That is proof that your self-awareness is growing. When you can start to gain that maturity and that clarity and be less in fight or flight or freeze and more in clarity and in emotional regulation and stability, So much of the self-healing journey is all about nervous system regulation. But really, nervous system regulation is the foundation of healing your mind-body connection and learning tools for self-regulation, because many of us grew up with emotionally reactive parents because they were never given the emotional and nervous system regulation tools that they needed when they were children. So they just repeated those same patterns their whole life and then put that onto us as children. And so now it's up to us. The self-healer is a courageous person because they say to themselves, okay, I have a problem. This is an issue. This situation has come up multiple times in my life. There is a reason it keeps on coming up. There's a reason this is a sign, you know, this is a sign that this is an issue that needs attention. It needs resolution. It needs self-awareness and self-love in order to heal. Okay? Shame only prospers when we keep it a secret. Darkness only can only win when we choose not to look at it. You know, the more we bring our darkness into the light, and by that I mean the more that we make our unconscious behavioral patterns conscious, and we look at the parts of ourselves that we don't like. We look at the parts of ourselves that we've shamed. We look at the parts of ourselves that we deem ugly or, you know, not cute, or whatever the story is around the parts of yourself that you don't think are worthy of loving, that you don't think are worthy of being there. There's a reason that they are there. Your darkness has an intelligence, and your darkness wants you to look at it. That's why it comes up again and again and again, because it is not just going to go away. Suppression is not the answer. Anything that you reject persists. Anything that you push away will just come back stronger and stronger and stronger, because it wants you to look at it. It wants you to take responsibility, and it wants you to alchemize the darkness, the unconsciousness, the negative behavioral patterns. They want to be alchemized. Your body is so highly intelligent. Your soul, your spirit, your higher self, these intelligences, they want you to prosper. And that's why these things come up for us, so that we can look at them, so that we can work with them, and so that we can deeply accept and acknowledge what is being shown to us. And through the self-healing journey, we gain more tools, we gain more practices. And we practice and we practice because practice makes perfect. And we rely on certain tools. And sometimes certain tools work for certain periods of time. And then we outgrow them and we mature beyond the tool. And then we can thank that tool for all that it did for us. And then we can put it aside and move on and grow and find new tools for our next level of growth, for our next level of embodiment, for our next level of healing. Okay, the healing journey is non-linear. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down, but you are always progressing. Okay, I actually say that the healing journey is spiralic, so it spirals. Okay, spirals up and spirals down, and you will always. And that when things come up again, that is the spiral happening. That is the spiral working. And sometimes things need to come up again and again and again for you to look at them with a new pair of eyes, with a fresh pair of eyes, with a new perception, with a more evolved consciousness, you know, with a greater maturity. And that's why things will sometimes come up again, you know, and so that you can understand what is going on from a greater level of maturity that you previously did not have the capacity for. And don't wait for your mental health to go bad before you seek help. Therapy is for everyone, unstable or stable, you know. And there are many different kinds of therapy, and I'm not here to tell you what kinds of therapy you should and shouldn't do. That is up to you to figure out, and it's up to you to explore. And you know, sometimes these things happen through a process of trial and error. Never be afraid to start something. You know, and if it doesn't work out, that's okay. Then you can move on to the next thing and try the next thing. You know, get recommendations from your friends. Start talking openly about mental health with your friends. Start talking openly about therapy, because going to therapy is fucking cool, okay? Developing your self-awareness is fucking cool. Working on your mental health is fucking cool, you know? And we need to start making these things normal and removing the stigma and encouraging each other, like, fuck yes, well done for going to therapy, like, congratulations. I was in therapy for 5 years non-stop, once a week, every week. And then the last year and a half, I did it every second week, because as time goes on, you learn the tools. You learn how to ask yourself the questions that your therapist would normally ask you, And then after a while, you stop needing a therapist because you become your own therapist and you learn how to become your own therapist. Okay? And this brings me on to my favorite tools for self-healing. Number 1, journaling. Journaling is a powerful, 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 powerful practice. And I will always, 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 encourage people to journal. I have journals. I've been journaling since 2016. So what is that? That's about 7 years. Yeah, about 7 years. 6 years. And it is so cool because now I have a row of journals, one for each year, and I can actually go back and look at them and like read through them and be like, oh wow, like that is what I was going through at that time. And like, sometimes I also write quotes, or I'll write what was going on inside. It didn't always have to be a bad thing. Sometimes you can also write positive things in your journal, things that you're grateful for, things that you're celebrating, your own growth. You can celebrate your own growth through your journal and through just by writing, like, I had this amazing experience, or I had this not so amazing experience. This is what I learned, and it's so cool. Like, I read back on my journals and I'm like, wow, like, 19, 20-year-old Josie was so wise. She knew this already. And even though she wasn't always the best at practicing it, she understood what needed to happen, and she understood how to get from A to B. Because journaling increases your self-awareness. It creates this dialogue between your subconscious and your conscious mind. And your journaling practice can be whatever you make it. It can be a few lines. You can make bullet points. You can write. It's called mind of consciousness writing, where you just spew whatever's happening, whatever thoughts are coming through, whatever emotions. Your journal becomes your best friend, really. And you realize, like, okay, no matter where I am in the world, no matter what I'm going through, I always have my journal to process with. That is how I was able to stop therapy. It was because I was like, cool, my journal is my therapist. And I became my own therapist through journaling. Okay? Journaling is so fucking powerful. If you do not journal, you are missing a valuable opportunity to get to know yourself on a deeper level. As well as it helps you to pick up patterns, so you can go back months, weeks, years even. Like I said, I have all my journals from 2016. You can go back years and see, okay, what are the same patterns that I've been struggling with for weeks, for months, for years? What are those patterns? Why are they still present? And, how can I work with different modalities, different therapists, different practitioners, different tools, maybe that I haven't done before to get to the root cause of this pattern. So my next tool is yoga. Yoga is an incredible, incredible tool to develop that psychosomatic awareness, the mind-body connection, psycho meaning mind, somatic meaning body. Yoga helps to integrate that mind-body awareness, and it's also amazing for creating that balance between the mind and body. They also have been doing studies on yoga's ability to release stored trauma. Yoga is an amazing tool for trauma release. It is an amazing tool for working with your trauma and being able to release your trauma, because your trauma is stored in your body. It is stored in the muscle and the fascia and your organs, okay? It is stored throughout the entire body, connected all down the central channel via the vagus nerve, which is part of your nervous system. And so yoga really helps to, yoga is to yoke, it is to mix, it is to work with, to knead, to mold, to change, and yoga helps to, on an energetic level, it unblocks our chakras. So it actually removes trauma from the different parts of our being so that we can become more of a clear channel for wisdom and guidance and for our own love and our own energy. We need to be able to circulate our own life force energy throughout our entire body, throughout our entire system, in order to be able to heal ourselves fully and to have a vital body, to have a strong and functioning immune system. All of this, it's so important. The lymph, the blood, all the fluids, like yoga helps to revitalize all of those systems. My next favorite tool for self-healing is meditation. And many people will do yoga, but they will not do meditation. And this, to me, is it's like cherry picking, because yoga was actually created to help the mind and body prepare for meditation. So yoga is the preparatory step for meditation. And so if you are doing just yoga but not meditation, you are only utilizing half, maybe even like less than half, like 30% of the healing process. Okay, meditation is key. Developing that witness consciousness. This is what Vipassana is all about. And I've mentioned Vipassana a few times. And I will be doing an episode with my friend who I went on Vipassana with to talk all about Vipassana and what that is and how it works. But meditation, it creates such a deep level of self-awareness within your own mind and of your body. And this is what I did on Vipassana. And I left those 10 days being the clearest I have ever been. The amount of clarity that I have, the amount of ability to think, the ability to process, the ability to observe myself, observe my reactions, observe my sensations, observe the way my body reacts in certain situations, my nervous system. And you gain so much clarity on a multidimensional level. Meditation. It is so important. Even they've done studies to show how even just 10 minutes a day can change your life. 10 minutes is absolutely nothing. Okay? Think about it. 10 minutes a day is like 0.5% of your day. Think about that. Like, you have hours in a day and you can't even do 10 minutes. You can't even show up for yourself for 10 minutes, because meditation is about you and your connection to yourself. And if you can't even show up for yourself for 10 minutes, how do you expect all these other modalities and therapies and this and that to work if you can't show up for yourself for 10 minutes? At Vipassana, we do an hour of meditation. An hour. And that is hard. That is fucking hard. But start with 10 minutes. Every single journey has to start somewhere. And if you just start with 10 minutes a day, even 5 minutes, if you can't do 10 minutes, do 5 minutes. It will change your life. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Really. 5 minutes in the morning after you wake up, before you look at your phone. 5 minutes before you go to bed, after you turn off your phone. Really, it calms your nervous system on another level. And then you actually have a better sleep because you're calm already, you know. And it helps with insomnia, with everything, you know, with bad dreams, with so much. Okay, my fourth tool for self-healing is working with a coach, a mentor, a therapist, or a practitioner. It is so important for us to work with people who have more experience than us. Because yes, we have all the answers within us and we have our own inner wisdom that guides us along our self-healing journey. We also cannot reach certain levels. We will hit ceilings, you know, we will hit blocks, we will hit limits within ourselves, okay? And by working with a coach or a therapist or a practitioner or a mentor, they can help you release those blocks so you can take yourself further. They will help give you the tools for you to expand even more so that you can have those quantum leaps, so that you can upgrade, so that you can really start to work efficiently. Because if you're hitting the same block again and again and again and again, no amount of journaling or thinking or meditating within yourself is going to make that block go away. You need to work with someone who has been where you are at. You need to work with someone who has walked the path and has more experience than you, you know, who's been in your shoes and can advise you based on your personal circumstances. Okay, this is where you're not looking at. This is what you're ignoring. This is where you could be, you know, investing more of your energy into to have greater results, more efficient results. And then my fifth and final tool for now, of my list of favorite tools for self-healing is time spent alone. Okay, preferably in nature, because nature is so healing. Going out into nature, just doing nothing, you're healing your body, you're healing your soul, you're absorbing the vibrations. Be barefoot, absorb the vibrations of the earth. You know, open yourself to the sun, take your shirt off, absorb the sun's energy through your heart chakra, decalcify your third eye chakra, and work with nature. Nature can heal us on another level. Okay, really, so much healing comes from just being in nature. And then time spent alone in nature. You know, we need time alone to integrate life. We need time alone to process life events and also to get to know ourselves more intimately. We cannot get to know ourselves if we are always focusing our energy externally on this person, this event, this experience. I've got to do that, you know, like the more our energy is projected outwards, the less control we have of what is going on the inside. Okay, so spending time alone is a beautiful way to get to know yourself more intimately. And the more intimate you are with yourself, the better you know yourself, the better you can work with yourself, the better, you know, you have that harmony between mind, body, and soul. You know, the better you understand your own energy, the better you can work with your own energy, the better you can understand your boundaries, the better you can understand what you like and what you don't like, the better you can, just start to work with all that you are and make decisions from that. Working with your triggers, getting to know your triggers on an intimate level. All of this, you know, we can only get to know ourselves when we actually spend time alone, not distracted on our phones, not distracted by technology or screens or this or that, you know, like really being with ourselves, just ourselves, no distractions. Yeah, the self-healing journey is a beautiful journey. It is not an easy journey, but it is a beautiful journey of self-empowerment, self-love, self-discovery, self-actualization. Yeah, and eventually self-enlightenment, because that's the end goal, really, is to become enlightened, to become so self-aware that nothing triggers you anymore, nothing makes you react, nothing sends you into a depressive spiral, sends you into a reaction. Yeah, like all of this is possible, but you have to start somewhere. And the earlier you start this journey, the younger you are when you start this journey, the better your life will be as an adult, the better your life will be ahead of you. You know, give yourself that opportunity, give yourself that blessing, give yourself that gift. Start your self-healing journey today. Tomorrow. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today. You know, write down your reflections of yourself. You don't need to have a journal. Just write it on a piece of paper, and you can get a journal. Yeah. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or any comments about the self-healing journey. I'm always here. My DMs are always open. I also have coaching packages if you would like to work with me on a one-to-one level. I also have my self-development course. It is a self-paced journey, which means that you take yourself through the course. And you teach yourself with the teaching material and the lectures and the PDFs and all the practices and meditations that are provided. This is my self-healing journey course, Root and Reboot. And this course I created with the wisdom of the what are the foundations of the self-healing journey? What are the foundations? And how do we start the self-healing journey with strong foundations? Because if the foundations are strong, then you can never be toppled over. Okay? If the roots of the tree are deep and thick and well nourished, then the tree will not fall over in the wind. It might sway and it might change, it might grow, it might lose a few branches here and there, but that's natural. Change is inevitable. The only constant in life is change. But those roots are so thick and so deep that you will not be knocked over. And so Root and Reboot is about developing those thick, deep roots within yourself so that you can prosper, so that you have strong foundations, and so that you can grow and ascend to those next levels of healing. You're not staying stuck in your inner child work for 10 years. That's not an efficient way of doing healing. It doesn't need to be that. It doesn't need to be that way, you know? Heal something, work with it, and then move on to the next thing. Because there's always a next thing. The self-healing journey, it never ends, okay? But if you want to prevent yourself from having a midlife crisis, having a mental breakdown, whatever it may be, you know, these midlife crises that, you know, that it's become common, but it's not normal. We don't need to accept that as our reality, okay? Because when you've got you, nothing else matters. When you support yourself, nothing else matters. When you love yourself, nothing else matters. When you can hold yourself in the depths of your pain, nothing else matters. And that capacity to hold yourself in the depths of your pain only increases your capacity for pleasure, okay? Two sides of the same coin. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the Sync and Flow journey. And like I said, reach out to me anytime. My DMs are always open on Instagram. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode and engage with all the wisdom that was spoken about. If you have any questions or queries, please feel free to reach out to me via Instagram DM or send me an email. You can follow me on my personal account on Instagram at Josie, JOSIE_Thorne, THORNE, or you can follow Sync and Flow, my business accounts, at Sync, that's spelled SYNC _in_flow. Please feel free to reach out with any questions or queries you may have. Otherwise, get in contact to book a free discovery call to start your self-healing spiritual journey today. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now, loves.